All right, Marty's ready to roll. What would you have done there? First of all, good morning, Dad. The Hall of Famer, Marty Brennaman.
Good
How you
morning,
doing
boys.
today? Everything good with you?
Like old home week, getting back together again. Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong with that. Hey, the Skeens thing, by the way. In the day and age we
Yeah.
live in, they take him out after 7 innings of no-hit ball, right around 100 pitches. Are you at a point now where you like a lot of us are, where you just kind of get it? That's what guys are doing now.
No, I'm happy with what they did yesterday. I don't second guess that move at all. This guy is obviously, and he's been everything that they said when the Pirates took him number one out of Louisiana State University, that there had not been a pitcher that had come along within recent memory that was as major league ready as he was.
Yeah.
And he goes to the minor leagues. He got a little bit PO'd at him at some point early in the season when basically he said, "Hey, I'm ready to pitch in the big leagues now. I'm wasting my time down." He came out publicly and said that. I need to be in the big leagues. I'm ready to pitch. He was 100% right. I know the Pirates were trying, they basically erred on the side of caution, but I don't think they did that yesterday when they took him out. They did yesterday when they took him out of the game. He's too valuable a commodity to be screwing around and leaving him in for another inning and take a risk of anything happening to him, because you guys are right. He is the most dominant pitcher in Major League Baseball right now. If the National League is serious about winning, he should be on the mound next Tuesday night at the All-Star game for the National League down in Arlington, Texas.
Great point. Luke?
So, Papa, speaking of MLB players settling into the MLB, consistently delivering, let's move to Jonathan India. Obviously, the NL Rookie of the Year, a little bit of that sophomore slump that you always talk about. He's turned it on. He's hitting over 275 now. I want to ask you your thoughts, because everyone talks about him as a piece of the deadline. But for Reds fans moving forward, is this what we can expect out of that high pick in Jonathan India? Is he really blossoming right now in his career, or do you think this is just a hot streak that could hit the fan?
That's a good question, Luke. I think that's a reason why they pay Nick Kroll and Brad Metter the big money. They've got to make a determination on that when they reach the trade deadline as to whether or not they're going to hang on to him and then maybe trade him in the offseason, maybe not, or deal him and get something in return. You got to understand as you go forward, they got a glut of infielders, very talented infielders, an abundance of infielders. Some are here, some are still waiting to be called up at some point down the road. And Jonathan India, I hate to say this, because he has certainly been an incredibly positive piece to this so far lackluster season for the Redlegs. But he muddies the water a little bit when you consider that Matt McClain, God forbid, God bless him, will be healthy. Certainly next year. We may see him before the year is out. Then they've got De La Cruz, and they've got Noelvi Marte. Then they've got the Arroyo kid in the minor leagues. They've got a ton of talented players. It would kind of clear things up if they were able to get something in return and deal him. But that's whether or not he's blossoming now or it's just another hot streak. I got a real feeling that probably this is an indication that Jonathan India, if he needed to, quote unquote, finally arrive as a solid big league player, it's happening right now. I don't think what he's doing now is a fluke. I really do not. I think he's talented offensively. He has some problems on the defensive end that I don't know can ever be rectified at this point of his big league career. He's been around now for 3 years. But they got to make a big decision on him, no question.
Yeah, and I think this is going to be a tough call, Dad, because, look, 2 years ago, the only guys that Reds fans were looking at after that 100-loss season as core guys were Tyler Stevenson and Jonathan India. Then India starts out, doesn't play very well. There's all the talk this time a year ago about being him traded. And you have always talked about this sophomore slump thing, that it's very real in baseball. We're seeing it for different reasons at different times. Now, Ellie's been really, really good, but Steer has certainly had his ups and downs. On and on. I don't want to get into all that. The point I'm trying to make here is that India, I think now, like you said, is starting to blossom into the player that it looks like he's going to be for the long haul. And with so much uncertainty about so many other players and what they're going to do or not do, I mean, I'm not going to get all excited that Marte's been awful yet because I think the guy can hit. But I also thought Encarnacion Strand could hit, and maybe he still will hit. But, I mean, there's no way I can trade India. There's just no way. He's the one solid guy, consistent guy that I can count on this team.
Well, I mean, and I don't disagree with what you say, but you also have to add to that, if that's the approach that you're taking. One, if you decide to keep him, you're keeping him with the idea of being an everyday player. You're not keeping a guy like that. We're going to bring him off the bench. You can find somebody else to come off the bench.
Yep, that's right.
Oh, so he's going to be an everyday player if you decide to keep him going into 2025. But with that decision, if that is the one that they make, you got to suck up and take all the defensive liabilities that he brings to the table. This team has been a god-awful defensive ball club, as bad as I've seen in recent years that I can remember. And he's part of the problem. Doesn't turn the double play well, doesn't have great range, could have a stronger arm. You're going to have to live with all that. And just, whatever happens. Maybe he shows some improvement. Maybe they find a place for him to play other than second. But, they talked last spring about putting him in the outfield. And for whatever the reason, they decided to do away with that. So, you make a decision to keep him. You got to take the bad as well as the good. And if there is a negative with him, it certainly would be on the defensive end.
Outside of the Reds, Papa, I just want to get your take. The American League, I think, undoubtedly is a lot better than the National League, at least right now, as we head into the All-Star break, when it comes to the top teams and that wild card race. But in the NL, it's the Braves, the Cardinals, and the Mets right now. I know it's a long shot with over 50 games to go, but what is your take? Do you think it's going to stay the same as it is right now? Do you think there's a lot of movement to be made? It looks like the Braves are probably going to lock up that number one spot, but other than that, it seems like an open book. And the Cardinals continue to play well, but that negative 38 run differential, the Reds is like the highest of the teams that are still on the outside looking in by a reasonable margin. So, I mean, who do you really think is going to take that second and third wild card spot at this point?
I don't know. I mean, you don't know what to think about the Mets. They've been so bad with all the money that Steve Cohen has spent to make them a world championship contending team, and they've not even come light years from that lofty perch. The Cardinals, again, you can scratch your head with all of them except for the Atlanta Braves. I mean, they are the real deal, and I quite honestly, whatever problem they think they may have, when the trade deadline arrives, I think they'll make a deal to take care of that. I mean, that's the kind of move that clubs with a lot of money will do, the Dodgers included. If you're in first place, we want to be better than just a first place team. We want to be considerably better by the time the dust settles when the trade deadline comes and goes. I don't know. I think the addition of the wild card situation going into this postseason is a curse as well as it is a plus, because here the Reds are, and they were certainly within striking distance as poor year as this club has had, and certainly a lot of games to make up a small differential. What is it, 3.5 or something to that effect? So they have to decide. And this is decisions that are going to impact this club going forward this year, and depending upon who they have to give up if they decide to be sellers next year and the year beyond that. Do they sell, do they buy, or do they stand pat? My contention is this, and we don't have any knowledge, any way of knowing what the real feeling is among the baseball hierarchy with this club, namely Kroll and Brad Metter, the general manager. If you are sold, if you are 100% sold about the young core of this team, you have to decide what we saw from this bunch in 2023 is more likely to be the case than what we have looked at in 2024. So the core of this team, we are not going to allowed to get away. If you have any doubts about individuals on this team, then you have to put them up for market and see what you can get for them. It's a tough decision they've got to make. We saw the Steers of the world and the rest of those kids, and Will Bensons of the world, do wonderful things last year. This year, we've not seen that. Although I still maintain Steers a real deal. He's driving a lot of runs this season despite hitting for a low batting average. You don't want to destroy what you've got in the minor leagues because this club still has a very fertile, at least from a potential standpoint, minor league system. Kids down there that are going to be here and help this club down the road. I don't know. I mean, when I take these club people person by person and say, would you trade him? Would you keep him? And let's be honest about this, Tom and Luke. If they decide to be buyers, they have to know that whoever they're talking with are going to come after the young talent that they have either on the big league club now or the kids like Cam Collier and Rhett Lauder and those types of players in the minor leagues. They're going to come after them because there's nobody, let's be honest about it. As far as veterans go, this club doesn't have anybody that I think anybody has any interest in.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens when they approach the trade deadline at the end of this month. But they have major decisions to make without any question.
All right. I want to ask you about this Pete Rose documentary. I don't know how much you know about it or don't know about it. This is a big league operation now. When HBO gets involved with something, you may not love everything about HBO, but when they do something, they do it right and they do it big. It starts July the 24th. Were you a part of this documentary? I mean, you were as close to Pete Rose, if not closer, than anybody on the planet. Did they reach out to you for this thing?
Oh yeah, but I'll tell you an interesting thing about that. It starts the 23rd. It's the 23rd and 24th.
Okay.
Yeah, they start the 23rd. They run episode 1 at 9:00. They run episode 2 at 10:00, and then the following night they do the same thing with episodes 3 and 4. And I think the third night they do the same. I think it's a 6-hour documentary. I had to think hard to remember when I talked to these people. It was 2 years ago.
You're kidding.
That they did. No, they came into Cincinnati. I met them at a hotel downtown. They had it all set up. All I had to do was sit down, give them a voice level, get the lighting exactly right on me, and bang, off we went. It had to be a year and a half to 2 years ago. So I had to really, because I saw the release they put out. You know, they mentioned Al Michaels' name. They mentioned other people. They mentioned my name. And I thought, whoa, wait a minute. Let me think about this. And then I remembered, and that's how long ago it was or how long it's been in the making. So I really have very little that I can offer by way of what you can or cannot expect to see because I don't really remember, to be honest about it.
Well, I mean, that's understandable. When that amount of time. But I think that proves the point that I was making is that they are in this to make this a big-time thing, and this is how long something like this takes. And quite honestly, it's something that takes this long, that deserves to take this long. I'm going to be fascinated. I mean, you seen any of the trailers on it? I have not yet.
I have not. I didn't even know one of your friends of mine, Jason Jackson from Cincinnati, who's the voice of the Miami Heat, radio voice. And I stay in touch with him. He's one of the cool guys in our business and a great guy. And he texted me yesterday. He said, I saw the trailer. Any thoughts on it? I texted him back. I said, Jason, I wish I could help you, pal, because I don't even remember anything about what I said. And I know whatever I said was certainly not controversial. I'm not going to publicly say anything that will hurt Pete. Like I say, I'm transparent as hell. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think it's egregious to he and what he stood for as a player. And I think he's paid his dues in terms of the gambling thing and the irony that Major League Sports is reaping billions of dollars from the gambling industry and they won't let him in. I've said all that a million times. I don't know that there's anything, quite honestly, unless they have somebody else that I'm not aware of that they talked to outside that list in their release. I really don't believe anything new will come out of it. I mean, if people want to be brought up to date on Pete Rose, there's a book out that's been out now since opening day written by a New York Times best-selling author by the name of Keith O'Brien, who was born and raised on the west side of Cincinnati and has idolized Pete from day one. He had a book that came out about Rose around opening day, and it's been on the New York Times bestseller list. That, I think, would be more up to date than what HBO's got coming up, unless they come up with something that I'm not aware of.
No? Okay. All right. Luke, we're starting a new segment today. By the way, how about we just say off the bench at 10:15? Can we do that? Is that cool? Off the bench will be 10:15, and we'll keep it here for dialed in and keep the Hall of Famer Marty Brennaman around. Now, well, before I get to Luke about this saying, I want to start with and move away from sports now, because we always like getting you off topic from time to time. Are you, in my understanding, are you getting ready to leave for yet another European vacation?
Hell yeah. Leaving Sunday. I'm leaving Sunday. We're leaving to go to Switzerland and then go to Germany, and we'll be gone for 3 weeks.
See, when I heard Europe, Luke and I were talking last night. We thought that one of two things could be going on here.
I know. Go ahead. I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
We thought that perhaps the Queen had extended an invitation, or Prince Charles, even through all of his cancer treatment, had extended an invitation for you to come to the Wimbledon men's final on Sunday. Would that be something you would be interested in doing?
The answer to that would be no. I would not be. I mean, let's face it.
You wouldn't want to go to Wimbledon one time?
I'm not a tennis fan.
Okay.
And I'm not hesitate to ever say that, because I know I'll alienate all the tennis fans. I'm just not a tennis fan. I mean, when I had to make a decision way years back what I wanted to do more than anything, if you compare the two sports, was to play golf. I don't think you can play both of them and be better at one than the other. You'll just be an average player. But again, I'm about an average player when it comes to golf anyway. But no, by the way, their invitation was extended to us just to enjoy the hospitality that the Monarch form of government, or whatever you want to call it, over in England. We're going to England in December. For a couple of weeks.
Yeah, big Christmas celebration probably with the Queen.
Yeah, that's when
maybe the new Prime Minister over there. I don't know. But the second part was there anything extended in terms of going to the Open? They used to call it the British Open. But the Open the following week.
Yeah, see, I knew when you were going to ask the question, that was one of them, because that was probably initiated by my grandson and your son.
That's right.
That whether or not I was going to go to the British Open. Now I'm not, because it's obviously in the British Isles at Royal Troon. But that's an event that I want to go to one day. That's my favorite of all the majors, more so than the Masters, more than the U.S. Open, more than the PGA. The British Open is my favorite one of the major golf tournaments. But no, I'm not going to be there for that. I will be paying a lot of attention, but one day, if the good Lord allows me to hang around a while longer, I hope to one day go to the British Open.
Okay. All right. Luke, you have come up with an idea of what we're going to do every Friday. Could you please explain what this is called? You know, Reed a lot of times would come up with buy or sell, or come up with this or that, whatever it might be. You have come up with an idea that we're going to do every Friday, and we want to get Marty's view on this question.
Yes. So the idea is, going into the weekend, what is the thing to do? What do you want to do? We're titling it, Could It Be the Move? So could be the move.
The move is the key.
As in the slang for what to do.
Okay. So all you young guys, if you're talking about getting together some weekend or doing something, you'll say, okay, guys, what's the move?
Sure.
Okay. So this is called what could be the move?
Could be the move.
Okay, could be the move. You're traveling Sunday, so you do have Friday and Saturday. Luke, ask him.
So I guess the question would be, you're a man that since your retirement has gone on many vacations everywhere from God knows where to God knows where, but golf course to golf course. So when you look at out of the country vacations, could that be the move? Or I guess on your vacation, what is, some of the best things you're looking forward to?
Yeah, what are the moves?
Well, I don't think you could ever go wrong if you wanted to skip out of town for 3 or 4 days with 3 of them being a weekend. So, for instance, leaving Friday morning and coming back Monday night, something like that. Jump on a plane, fly down to the Caribbean at a number of different locales down there. If you're a golfer, there are a number of choices that you can have within and outside the state of Ohio, which certainly would be something that would be very appealing. Whistling in Wisconsin was a great stop. A little bit far to go, but Bandon Dunes out in Oregon is the greatest golfing venue that I've ever been to. It's spectacular. Things of that nature. Pinehurst, which I just came back from about 5 weeks ago, and it was the first time I'd ever been there, even though I spent all those years working, going to school and working in the state of North Carolina. Pinehurst is what is to golf what baseball, what Cooperstown, New York is to baseball. So there are a lot of choices that you can make, and you really don't even have to leave the country. If you want to play golf, there are places all over the United States to go play. But that's the kind of thing I'd be to think about for a quick trip.
All right. I don't hate it. I really like the chat right now. We're
the chat's coming up with some good stuff. Some of the suggestions, what are they, Luke?
Getting together with the boys and naming random former baseball players. That could definitely be the move if you have nothing to do on just a casual night with the fellas. Ellie home run tonight could be the move.
Could be the move. Betting on that. Betting on Stevenson hitting a home run tonight.
Stevenson hit 2 last night.
That's right.
Hit 2 yesterday.
Could be the move.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dad, I thought you had one.
I'm going to get to mine in a little bit.
Okay.
We'll get to mine at the end.
Yeah, we have
a
little time now.
We got a little time now to breathe here a little bit. By the way, I did not see it. Casey, I know we can't put you on camera, but am I of the understanding that Elliott went down to the Reds Hall of Fame and tried on my dad's jacket?
They did. They went.
That's just.
They went down to the Reds Hall of Fame and they got to wear your jacket, Marty.
I can't hear him. I lost him.
No, I don't think we lost him. I think he didn't hear me. That's
No,
my
I'm
bad,
not. I couldn't even hear what he said.
Yeah, that's my.
I couldn't hear what he said.
Yeah.
All right, Dad, hang on before you answer. Elliot, have a seat, please. All right, just somewhere. Stand by somewhere, okay? We can't put you on camera. So is it my understanding that you went down to the Reds Hall of Fame? Is his mic on, by the way? I know we're trying. All right. Did you go down to the Reds Hall of Fame and try on my dad's jacket? By the way, say good morning, Elliot. You haven't seen Marty in a while.
Good morning, Mr. Brenna-Men. How are we doing?
All right, Elliot, how are you?
I'm doing very good. So I went down to the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum, and I was looking around. They've got like 6 different shrines dedicated to Marty, and I went over to one of them, and they had a jacket. Now, I went over and tried this jacket, and I don't know if it was a prank. I don't know who's responsible for donating that jacket to the museum, but that was like a child's regular. Whose jacket? That wasn't your jacket, Marty.
I don't even really know, to be honest about it, Elliot. I knew they had. I can't tell you, but I can tell you this: it's immaterial. It's immaterial whether it was a child's regular or a man's regular. You ain't getting into it. You understand?
Well, so if you watch the end of the video, I had my guy Jacob try it. So Jacob put it on.
Yeah.
And it was like up to his,
Jacob's like 6'2".
Well, I'm just saying it didn't fit on him either. We could have gone through the whole list. Any man over the age of 12 is not getting in that jacket.
I think that's something you need to, you need to take that up with Rick Walls down at the Reds Hall of Fame. and
I
museum.
think,
Believe me when I tell you, if they wanted one of my jackets that I have hanging up in the closet, they can have their pick because I don't wear them anymore.
well, I'll tell you what. I'll go back down. I'll tell them that I will personally go to your house. I think you gave me a key the last time I saw you. I'll unlock the door. I'll go up. I'll go up to your jacket room. I'll take 3 jackets and I'll bring them back to the Reds Hall of Fame and Museum because I think they need them for historical reasons. You can't just throw general Target jackets up there. What are we doing?
You're right. You're right.
No, I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah,
All right,
have at it.
sure.
Have you?
Okay.
You know what, Elliot? You don't have a damn thing else to do. You might as well get involved in that.
You're right, I don't. But, we'll see what we can do. Hey, Marty, you look great this morning.
Okay,
you look rejuvenated. You look great.
So I'm great, man. Thank God I'm healthy. That's what it's all about, big boy.
That's right, baby. That's right,
Absolutely.
baby.
Elliot, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for
Thanks,
stopping
Elliot.
in. It's always great having Elliot and Marty get together. Okay. Anything else we want to cover with a Hall of Famer before we let him go today? Luke, you got anything on your plate?
I don't think so. We talked Reds. We talked foreign vacations.
Right.
I don't really know what else we could
So
hit.
what are you doing on this vacation? You told us where you're going, but what are some? Give us 2 or 3 of the highlights of what you're going to do. I've never been to these places where you're going. Where'd you say? Switzerland and where else?
Germany.
Oh, I've been to Germany. Well, okay, but anyway, what are you doing?
Well, for Switzerland, we're going to travel the country. I've been told that it's the most beautiful country on earth. I am really looking forward to it. The weather is really pleasant this time of the year. I don't think it gets above 85 or 86 degrees, and more often than not, it drops down into the upper 50s at night.
Nice.
But Germany is, I'm a big history guy. And I told Amanda, who is incredible when it comes to planning trips like this, and an itinerary that you're going to be here today, and then you're going to stay 2 nights in this hotel, then we're going to go somewhere else. She's wonderful at that. She said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "Well, there are really only a couple of things, 2 or 3 things in the Germany aspect of this thing, that I want to do. One, I want to go to see the memorial in Munich where the Israeli athletes were slaughtered in 1972. I want to see that. I want to see that memorial. We're going to Nuremberg, and we're going to spend time in the courtroom where they had the Nazi war criminals tried in the 40s, some of which they sentenced to death, what they should have been. I want to see that. And in Berlin, I want to go to the wall. I want to go to the Brandenburg Gate. There are a lot of things that I've always been fascinated by the country. One of the highlights, however, will be that we will go to where Amanda was born, that birth house that she lived in for a number of. Her dad was in the service. He was stationed at a base in Germany, and she was born there. And I think 4 or 5 months later, came to the United States for good. And the house is still standing, so we're going to go there and see where she was born. I've always had great interest in going to Germany for a lot of reasons, and I'm really looking forward to that. And I'm also looking forward to seeing the great beauty that exists in the country of Switzerland.
That's fantastic. Well, some of the people were wondering if you have a Swiss bank account that you would have to make a withdrawal or deposit to. So we'll leave that alone. That's private Marty Brennaman business. So, I
have an offshore bank account down in the Caribbean.
Yeah. All right. Okay. All right. Well, have a safe trip, Luke. You want to tell you'll talk to him on the phone between now and then.
I will talk to you. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for coming on today.
All right, guy. I love you guys. I'll be talking to you.
Okay.
See ya.
All right.
Thank
Have
you.
a great rest of your day.
Bye-bye.
The Hall of Famer Marty Brennaman, kind enough to join us here today.